welcome to the Fandom Academy podcast, episode 6. I am joined by my co-host as always, Jaiden, cameraman Duran, and Laila. Guys, how are we doing after a great Super Bowl last night?
So good.
Yeah, I'm feeling
Although
good.
the Eagles lost.
That was tragic.
I mean, I know nothing about football. I just know I'm still traumatized from The Last of Us episode 5.
Yeah.
And we'll definitely get into that. But first, here's some of the best trends and news from this week. First of all, Disney has confirmed that Frozen 3, Zootopia 2, and Toy Story 5 are all currently in the works. Jaiden, I'll start with you. Which one of these are you most excited to see?
So I'm probably going to surprise everybody. I'm really excited for Frozen 3. I like the first one, and I really like the second one. So I'm only, that much more hyped to see what they're going to do with the third one. Zootopia 2 is probably second on that list, and Toy Story 5 seems a little unnecessary, but I'm here for it either way.
Laila, how about you?
I mean, I was a Toy Story kid, and it's like one of my favorite sets of films ever. But I agree that Toy Story 5 might be pushing it because I feel like they wrapped it up really nicely in the fourth film, like Woody leaving everyone and everyone's getting over their lives. Like they've wrapped up like Bonnie's story. Like I have a feeling like the fifth one is gonna be like Bonnie's grown up and like got rid of the toys and they're trying to like reassemble or something. Like I don't really know where they could take it. Honestly, out of that list, I'm most excited for Zootopia 2. Like when Zootopia Plus came out, the Disney Plus show, I reviewed it for the site and it was so good. Like I have like an attachment to Zootopia. Like I love that story so much. And obviously Frozen 3 is gonna slap because like they have not missed with either of those films. So I feel like those two are gonna be the strongest. Toy Story 5 might surprise us all and be really great, but I just don't really see where it's going right now,
I definitely agree. I think Frozen 3, I'm with you, Jaiden, is my most anticipated out of that because any film with Jonathan Groff is going to be good. But Zootopia 2 is something I'm excited for, too. More Nick Wilde and Judy Hopps is going to have the internet going crazy in more ways than one, too.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of Toy Story 5, I agree with you guys. I'm not sure it's totally necessary, but I'm excited to see where they go with it because I've liked all the Toy Story films. I know some people, the fourth one's pretty divisive, at least with some of my friends. So I'm excited to see what Toy Story 5 looks like. But that's not some of the only movie news we got this week. As we were all either preparing for Riri or recovering from Riri, we got some cool trailers during the Super Bowl. We got Indiana Jones, a new trailer for the Transformers movie, the new one, a new trailer for Adam Driver's 65 movie. But we also got a new trailer for The Flash, which appears to be the end of the DCEU. This trailer looked really, really cool. Jaiden, what did you think?
I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I thought The Flash was going to be a good movie. We heard a lot of really good things about it from those really early test screenings, and James Gunn has some really cool words to say about it, really positive words to say about it. So that in itself is super exciting. But we got Supergirl. We're getting multiple Batmen and multiple Flash. So it's just like this movie is going to be insanity, and it's supposed to really kick off the new DCU that James Gunn is planning. So that in itself is super exciting, and I cannot wait for this movie.
Laila, did you watch the Flash trailer?
I didn't watch it, but I've seen like clips from it, and I mean, I'm really not up to date on DC. But I can appreciate the hype. It comes out the day after my birthday, so I feel like I will be watching it at some point. One thing I was really excited about that is Supergirl. I always see a lot of people raving, and I saw it. I was like, okay, you're my new obsession. Like, I know I'm gonna be in love with you. Like, and I saw everyone being really excited about all the Batman stuff. So I appreciate the hype. It does look very cool, and I will probably watch it.
Sasha
Return of the Batfleck.
Really, really good in her suit, and she looks ready to go crazy in this movie as Supergirl. But obviously there's a lot of stuff surrounding this movie, whether we want to get into that or not, let it affect the movie, surrounding Ezra Miller. However, this film does look really, really cool. And as you said, Jaiden, it does look like it's going to kick off James Gunn's DCU. Even with Shazam and Aquaman still coming, this is probably the most important DCU film on the slate, and I will definitely watch. But from The Flash, which releases in June, let's go a month ahead. Let's talk about something that releases in May, and that's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This trailer looked so good. So many cool moments. The soundtrack was insane. And this movie's going to destroy us. Layla, what did you think of the Guardians 3 trailer?
I thought this was a really great trailer. I mean, the Guardians trailer, we've had a couple, they never miss. Like the songs they use, just the vibe they put out. But these scenes that they're showing, like the one of like a baby rocket that we saw, like I and him saying like we'll fly off together into like the beautiful sky. No, James Gunn,
Mm.
no, don't do that to me. Like I just know this is just gonna wreck me, and I'm never gonna want to watch another film ever again because I will just be emotionally destroyed. Um,
Yup.
I'm very excited to see like an angry Gamora and her like resenting Peter Quill. Like I'm very excited for that kind of dynamic, and I'm excited to see like where they take them, like their relationship, whether it'll evolve into something or not. Like whether Gamora will learn to love him like she did before. I don't know where that's gonna go, but I'm excited to see it. And also the bit at the end with like Peter and Nebula when they were like having a little moment, I was like, what is going
That was
on?
crazy.
Like what universe are we in? But I thought it was a great trailer. I mean, all of them have been great, and I need this film to come out like tomorrow, please.
No. I simultaneously want this film to come out tomorrow and don't want this film to come out ever at the same time
Yeah.
because I'm just not ready for it to be over. But Jaden, what did you think of this trailer?
I thought it was great. I had a lot of fun watching it, even during the parts where it was super gut wrenching. Like that one specific shot of Peter just scream crying was like it gets me every time. Like I'm tearing up just thinking about it. It really like it gets me every single time, and we've seen it several times now. You'd think maybe after the third time of watching it, I'd be a little over it. No, not at all. It's going to literally kill me on the inside. But I'm here for it. I'm ready for my heart to be broken.
And from the trailers we saw, it looks like the planet that we saw in the first trailer with all the animal people is where Adam Warlock looks like he's going to make his first appearance. We see him flying through the streets of that planet. What do we think of Will Poulter coming into play, one of the most powerful characters from the comics, and looking good while doing it? Layla, what do you think?
I want him. Like he is what a lovely looking man. Even with all that gold shit on his face. Will Poulter is a lovely looking dude. I feel like he's gonna play such a great part as Adam Warlock. Like I'm just so ready to see him like raging the whole movie. And seeing his like interactions with other characters, I think is gonna be a really interesting thing to explore. But he is looking great, and I will be rooting for him.
Jaden, what do you think of Adam Warlock in this trailer?
I think he looks great. Aside from him physically looking like a beautiful man, the comic accuracy of his actual Adam Warlock suit and just like everything about him seems super cool, very overpowered. He seems super OP. And in the beginning, it looks like he's fighting Drax, so that's going to be a pretty interesting battle between those two because I feel like we haven't really seen Drax in his full kind of potential. Every time he's been ready to go off and he just kind of gets nerfed. So that sucks. But this is going to be crazy battle between the two, and I'm super excited to see that.
So pumped, but that's not the only person the Guardians are fighting in this trailer. We get a great look at High Evolutionary in this trailer, and he looks terrifying. Jaden, what do you think of the High Evolutionary's presentation in this trailer?
He looks terrifying, just like you said. And there is some where he's like in his full suit, and there's some where he's kind of like in his like where it's just like his face like sewn on to like some kind of machinery. It looks crazy, looks so grotesque, but it like so cool at the same time. I know I'm gonna enjoy him as a villain, but I'm going to hate him as a person for what he did to Rocket. And of course, with Rocket and describing, I think he said it was like he doesn't. He just hates everything how it is. He's not aiming for perfection. He just hates everything how it is, and that is going to be such an interesting twist on this villain. So I'm excited for it, definitely.
It's definitely one of those villains I feel like their motive could be just like no one can support them at all. Because with the Thanoses or the Killmongers, you can see where they're coming from. But I feel like with High Evolutionary, you're just going to hate his guts no matter what he does. Layla, what did you think?
I think he looked great. Like, I know there's a lot to unpack with his character from like his comics and stuff like that, but I don't know much about him. I don't really know like his motives or anything. I'm kind of excited to kind of figure that out as we go into the film. I don't really want to know what his plan is. I want to find out in the moment. I feel like this is going to be one of very few movies that I want to go into as blind as possible. He looks terrifying. I know he's gonna be one of like my most hated villains. Like Jaiden said, like for what he did to Rocket. Like I'm never gonna forgive that man. He deserves death. Um, yeah, I'm just so excited to see it play out and how he's gonna like affect the story.
Big time agree. And someone else we're excited to see coming over from James Gunn's The Suicide Squad, Daniela Melchior was in this trailer only briefly. It looks like she was wearing an all white suit. Do we think she's associated with the High Evolutionary, or what do we think her character is going to be? Jaiden?
I'm not entirely sure. I think it's possible, but at the same time, there's a lot of things going into this that I honestly have no idea about, and I'm so happy about that fact because I love going into these movies having no idea, seeing all these little glimpses and shots all thrown together, but they're not really being a cohesive like this is what's going to happen, and that's super exciting for me because I love going into these movies not knowing. So, but yeah, I'm excited to have her. Obviously, it's like without a doubt, it's so cool to have her, and yeah, I'm excited to see what they do with her.
For sure. Layla, do you have any thoughts on Daniela Melchior?
I mean, similarly, I don't know what her purpose is going to be. It would be cool to see her being like a little hitman for the High Evolutionary, maybe. Just like going off on like these little side quests, you know. I feel like she could really
That would
kill
be
something
cool.
like that. But yeah, you know, I again, like I said before, I'm enjoying going into this blind so I can find out if I'm going to be like rooting for her or being like, you need to calm down and just be nice for once. But I'm so excited that she's joined this cast and she's going to be a great addition to the film.
For sure. Guardians of the Galaxy, give me the main now. This movie's going to be so good. But our next, to stay in the Marvel range, our next movie comes out in less than a week. This Thursday, all of us will be watching it together. We are just days away, guys. How excited are we for Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania?
Too excited. Like, I keep thinking about it, and the way we're all going to be sat together in a movie theater watching this for the first time is going to be crazy. I'm just like, how is this film coming out now? It feels like forever since we've had a Marvel movie, even though it was just
Yep.
November. Um, just like the hype building up to it is always like unmatched, and all the new clips that are coming out, I'm trying to avoid as many of them as I can because I feel like I've seen enough in the trailers. Um, but just seeing this all play out, like we're gonna get full force Kang in just like three,
Crazy.
4 days. Like, how? How are we at this point? And just seeing like I keep avoiding all this stuff. Like I know there's been like leaks from the premiere and stuff, and I'm just like, nope, not looking. There's just so much like possibility for this film, like exploring the quantum realm, all these characters, Kang coming into play. Obviously, we're going to see more Kang. So it's just so like intrigued. I'm intrigued. This is like probably the most like intrigued I've been for a Marvel movie, like because I'm just so unsure it's like where it could end up. But the hype is unreal, and I'm gonna be thinking about it all week. I'm so excited.
For sure. And if you weren't hyped about this movie before the premiere, Kevin Feige at the premiere said this movie is the most connected movie to the future of the MCU that we've had in Phase 4 or I guess 5. So since Endgame, I think he said. This movie's going to be insane. Jaden, what are you most looking forward to out of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania?
Definitely Kang. I feel like it goes without saying that Kang is definitely my most anticipated part of this movie. Obviously, I'm super excited to get Scott Lang back. I'm super excited to see how Cassie Lang does because this is her kind of first time really getting into that role of being Cassie, and so that's really cool. I'm kind of hoping that they steer away from the whole Wasp of it all because I just want to see like how Scott handles everything from the buildup of the last two movies. Yeah, seriously, the last two movies, and just kind of seeing how he handles like this big Avengers level threat, and he's kind of on his own. I mean, he has his family, you know, he has Hank, he has everybody else, but he doesn't have like his backup. You know, he's in the quantum realm, so there's kind of nothing really here to support him besides who he's got with him. So that's going to be super interesting. I really hope nothing bad happens to Scott, although I can't can't guarantee that it won't. So that's going to suck. But yeah, Kang is definitely like one of the most anticipated things that I have going into this movie, aside from seeing it with all of my best friends.
Of course. I agree with you. I think Scott's story in this is going to be the key of this film. The way he seems like he's trying to get back the 5 years he lost during the blip with Cassie, just try and gain all that back, maybe making some mistakes or making some deals he shouldn't make in the meantime. But at the premiere, there was a certain man there, a man that I love very much. Glenn Powell attended the premiere, and boy, he looked fantastic. Anyone think
Yes, he did.
this meant anything? Because I know there's a lot of rumors that he might be playing a certain hot, fiery, steamy character in a movie coming up. Jaiden, do you think that we could potentially be seeing some fantastic group of people in this film?
For our sake, I really hope so. Because even if we don't get all four of them and we just get like him or one of them at least, that would be a step in the right direction for me. I'm super excited, and for our sake, I hope it's Glenn, because that would just be the most positive development we could possibly get out of this. Yeah, CJ we'd have to check on CJ. But yeah, that's super exciting, and with all these premieres and stuff, with the people that attend, it's usually like what are you doing there? Is there something you're not telling us? Yeah, I like that speculation stuff, so that's really cool.
Laila, who would you like to see cameo in this movie, whether it be the Fantastic Four or anyone else? Is there someone you would be hyped to see?
I really don't think we're getting the Fantastic Four in this film, as much as I would love to. But Glenn Powell being there is kind of hinting at like, why are you here? Like, what do you have to do with all this? Like, it's a bit random to have you here, you know? I don't know what cameos would be good for this. Like, I really can't think of any that would like have me like completely like shook. Like, obviously any cameo would have me like that I hadn't already known about. But I can't like pinpoint on like one or two like people that I think would fit into the story, like to make it better, you know? I feel like they have a great ensemble already. I'm open to anything, I am. Like I love a good surprise, but I can't really think of a specific person who I would like to see in this.
The two I'm not I don't think there's gonna be any cameos. I'm with you, but the two I would love to see. First of all, give me some Miss Minutes. Just put her in here for like 2 seconds. Like
Yes.
that would be really fun. Just to add in the connection to Loki too, so we can finally acknowledge that exists in the MCU. And another one I think would be really cool is to continue building up the Young Avengers, and maybe a post-credit scene or something. We get Haley and Cassie meeting. I think that would be really, really cool to get Kate Bishop in this film, and we would see Damon also die.
Do you want Damon to die?
At this. It'll be really fun.
I wonder if we're gonna get Renslayer.
Jaiden, what?
Ooh.
That would
be pretty cool, right?
Oh, what if it literally in the post-credit scene? What if it's like Loki and Mobius, like in
That
this
would be
like
nuts.
in like a different timeline? Like, wow. Okay, okay, that's what I want to see. I want to see Loki and I want to see Mobius, please.
Mobius.
They somehow get transported into the quantum realm.
Yeah. Yes.
That would be nuts.
Speaking on that, we can keep going into these theories. Do we think the TVA is something that exists in the quantum realm? Because that was kind of a theory that was going around during Loki. Do we think that's maybe where that body exists? And if it's so, would that be something we find out in this movie? Or do you think that would be something we find out in like Loki season 2?
I feel like that could be, like I mentioned, that could be a post-credit scene. Like, I feel like that would be a really interesting thing to have, because doesn't Loki come out in like June time?
Yeah, it comes
Like,
out
I
this
feel like
season,
it's one of the next things to come out. And if Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is about connectivity, then maybe that's something they could explore. Obviously, Kang was in Loki, so he has a link to it already. We could explore some TVA things. I don't think it would be a plot of the movie, maybe just like hinted at or like mentioned once or twice. From like the Kang variant that we saw die, maybe the other variant we see like knows about that and like mentions it maybe. I feel like that could be a cool little thing to explore, but I don't want it to take over the plot and be like a main plot point. Just like a little like Easter egg type thing.
Agreed. Jaden, do you have any final theories or thoughts heading into this movie on Thursday?
I guess my last thought would just kind of be, since, last time Scott was in the quantum realm, he was there, 5 hours, and it ended up being 5 years in like the universe time, right? Not being like outside of the quantum realm, it was 5 years. So my question is, how long are they going to spend in the quantum realm this time? And what surprises are going to lie outside of this once they kind of hopefully make their way out of the quantum realm? Because that's going to be kind of an interesting talking point. Like, what could they be like? What could be on the other side for them after this? What surprises, especially with Kang, being at his full
Yeah.
potential, there could be a lot of ramifications outside of this. So I'm really excited to see where that leads.
I mean, obviously, I don't think all of them are going to die, but I could totally see Kang winning in this film, and like almost like not like
Yeah.
almost like kidnapping Scott or like a Cassie or maybe the Wasp or whoever survives, and forcing them to take him to the world or to Earth, I guess, and it being right where King Dynasty kicks off. I think that would be really cool. It would end the movie with a gigantic bang, and it would get the entire world hyped for King Dynasty in 2025, I believe. So that would
Mhm.
be insane. Layla, what do you think about that?
Yeah, that could. I feel like if it was gonna do that, then we might see like the first scene of Kang Dynasty. Like that could be like the first bit they show when the movie comes out is actually a scene from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Because I'm assuming this is the last time we see Kang before that movie. I don't see how he could fit into any other projects. So it could be just building up Kang Dynasty and seeing, you know, how
Yeah,
the film starts and how that journey starts for that film. I feel like that could be really interesting.
agreed.
I just
I
had a
think.
crazy thought, right? Because you know what I was saying. Oh, go ahead, CJ.
Oh, I was just saying, in terms of seeing Kang again, I think this is the last movie we see him in, but I think we'll probably see him in Loki season two. I would think. Probably not this
I hope
variant,
so.
At
though.
least a variant.
It might be a different one,
Yeah.
yeah. I would feel like we would see him there. But Jaden, what were you about to say?
No, so I was thinking, right? So, like, kind of piggybacking off what I was saying before, like the time that's passing in the real world as opposed to the quantum realm. What if, like, this is like the Infinity War of the Kang Dynasty, right? Where they're spending all this time in the quantum realm and all this time is passing. So, everything that we go between this movie and Kang Dynasty is happening while Quantumania is going on. And then after that, once they're out of the quantum realm, boom, right into King Dynasty. That would be crazy.
Yeah.
And that wraps up our Ant-Man primer thoughts, unless any of you guys have anything else to say.
No.
Just excited.
From one movie that could be very painful to a show that was very painful, let's get into The Last of Us Episode 5, Causing Pain, as this show always does. I just want to relax when I watch this show, and I don't think that's ever going to be possible. Layla, what do we think of The Last of Us Episode 5?
No. The start of okay, I say this every time, but obviously I knew Sam and Henry's fate going into this episode, and seeing how much they got along with Joel and Ellie, and seeing Sam and Ellie's little friendship going on, I was just the whole episode building up to what inevitably was gonna happen. I can't watch this anymore. Like, this is gonna wreck me. This is gonna be the worst one of the show. And it was incredibly emotional. The episode in itself, though, has the potential to be one of my favorites. Just in terms of like content, we got a blurter. Like that was the first time we've seen a blurter in live action. We got more in like running parades of infected. Just seeing like Kathleen and her kind of status evolve and how they're involved in everything. But just Sam and Henry, no, nope,
Mm-mm.
no, no, no.
Jaden, what did you think of episode 5?
I thought it was gut wrenching, just as much as episode 3 was with Bill and Frank. That was it was a lot to take in. That's they are everybody is doing such good acting. Like it is unbelievable how good the cast is in this series. Like it is like they couldn't have picked a more perfect cast. Everybody did so well, and the chemistry is so good. And I can rave about this series for literally forever. Like literally, I can rave about this forever. So I love this. I love this episode as heartbreaking as it was, but of course, you know, like Layla, I knew it was coming. So, but yeah, it was amazing. It was really amazing. Good storytelling.
I agree. The storytelling in this show is just off the charts. Pedro and Bella are so phenomenal at everything they do in the show. I'm obsessed with just everything about it. Oh my goodness, cinematography is great. Seeing Kansas City get overrun had to be therapeutic for Eagles fans who watched it this morning. And seeing all of the bloater looked phenomenal. It's overpowered. It looked great. And I guess we're gonna dive into some spoiler thoughts now. Seeing Sam and Henry and the way that ended was so sad because you learn that Sam's infected, and you think for a moment that, oh my gosh, Ellie's gonna use her blood and it's gonna cure Sam, and then you wake up the next morning and he's still infected, and the rest ensues, and it's just tragic and it's heartbreaking, and it made me want to turn off my TV and cry yet again, as the show has already made me do 3 times. So I'm just obsessed with everything about this show. And let's dive into another death in this show, one that little more easy to digest, and that's Kathleen. We see this child clicker thing, gymnastics, crazy zombie just absolutely demolish Kathleen. Jaden, did you enjoy watching that like I did?
Oh yeah, like 100%. I actually laughed at it, and I definitely needed to laugh at it for what was to come. But yeah, no, that whole scene, that whole bloater and the zombies coming out of the ground, that was terrifying. But it was like you deserved it. That's your karma. So deal with it, pretty much.
Layla, what did you think of Kathleen's death and the end of her journey?
It was kind of funny. I did have a little giggle when she was being ripped apart. It was just like you could she had her gun on Henry. If she was gonna do anything, she could have shot him there and then. I can't lie. Like, come on, you could have done that. Come on, that whole sequence with the infected just swarming them was incredible,
Terrifying.
and the way Jeffrey Pierce's character met his end with the blurter, just I was like staring at that blur like, you are beautiful, you are an amazing creation. I know you're bad, but you are cool. um Kathleen's death was funny. I know Melanie, the actress for Kathleen, has spoken about the child clicker, who is a 9-year-old gymnast who was just having so much fun on set. She was like on wires, just like twirling about, and she was having like the time of her life. I just find that so funny. And it's so interesting to see like a child as an infected form, because usually the ones we see are like fully grown, it's like bolting around. But seeing like an actual child like that, it hits you. It's like, oh yeah, that happens to kids too, you know? Like it's inevitable it's gonna happen. But yeah, her death was a bit funny, I can't lie. But we needed like a little preparation for what was coming, and I thought it was really well executed. And Kathleen, as much as I hated her, she was a great character, and Melanie Linsky played an amazing part as her, and I really enjoyed her role in the show. So yeah.
Agreed. Melanie was fantastic, and Kathleen was not a character in the game, right? Correct?
No. She was created by Craig Mazin, who kind of based her off these hunters that you see in the gameplay. It's the location is switched from Pittsburgh to Kansas City, but the kind of hunters you see, she was like a confined version of them, and she had kind of like the same intentions as they would. So she was just kind of morphed into this one big bad. Does that make sense?
It definitely worked for the storytelling. And in terms of games to the show, Layla, you've played both the games. How did Sam and Henry's story in the game compare to Sam and Henry's story in the show?
The kind of execution and the way it happens is the same. We see that Sam reveals his bite to Ellie, which obviously is not a great thing to happen, but Ellie's kind of like secluded about it, and she's like, "It's fine. Like we'll wait it out. Everything's fine." Um, but the reveal of it isn't any less heartbreaking, and the execution of it, you kind of assume like someone is gonna have to kill Sam, and unfortunately, it had to be Henry. And just seeing that Henry couldn't live with his guilt and like the grief of Sam, like some of the dialogue was slightly different. I think in the show he says, "What have I done?" instead of something else in the game, which I can't remember what he says, but that line just um, exaggerates the emotion of it even more, which made it even more heartbreaking because you realize what has he done? Like he's killed his own brother, like the only person he had left in the world, and he can't live with that. And it's just so heartbreaking to watch every single time. Just because you knew it was coming, if you have played the games, it did not prepare you for it at all. Like there was nothing for that. And Lamar Johnson and I think it's Kevin Woodward who plays Sam did an incredible job. Like the chemistry they had with each other and the chemistry that Sam and Ellie had was just because Sam is a bit younger in the show than he's in the game, and they have more interaction in the game because Sam isn't deaf in the game. Um, so just seeing how they communicated in the show was really great. Like it added another layer of heartbreak to the story. But I thought the way they executed it was perfect, even though it was horrifying, and I really didn't want to see that. But it was a great storyline that they adapted, and they did such a good job with it.
Absolutely. It was crazy to see. Jaden, what did you think of the end of Sam and Henry?
I thought it was I thought it was crazy. I really honestly like it broke my heart to see that happen, and I knew it was coming, like I said, and even still, like it really broke my heart. And to a little bit of what Layla was saying earlier with how kids can also get infected, I feel like that was a little bit of a foreshadow of Sam and what was to come with him and his question of when you become the monster, is it still you on the inside? That was just like, wow, dude. Like, I feel like this kid is just, he's so mature for his age. And I feel like it's just because of the things that he's gone through and the things that he's seen, as Henry was kind of pointing out. So, yeah, it's nuts to see, this kind of thing ensue. But, it happens. And especially in this kind of setting, in this environment, it's very dangerous out there. So, but yeah, it sucks to see it happen that way. And it's definitely going to take a toll on Ellie moving forward. So that's that developing that and developing her emotions towards it moving forward is going to be something really really interesting to see.
Kind of piggybacking off of that as well. Just in like the scene where we see the four of them go into the old maintenance tunnels and they're in this room with like all the toys. And Ellie and Sam just have a moment where they can actually be a kid because they've just been deprived of their entire childhood. And that's something that you might not think about, but they haven't got to live their normal life. They haven't been able to just sit and play with toys because they've just always got this fear of being in danger. And just seeing like how happy Sam and Ellie were to have company like with each other, and just seeing them not have to be mature for a while, like because they've got Joel and Henry to protect them. Just seeing that was even more heartbreaking. Just seeing them be a kid was just so nice to have.
Yeah.
Agreed. And it seems like the question we always ask after these Last of Us episodes is how the hell are we supposed to move on and cope with what we just watched? But next Sunday there's a new episode. And we have to get there and we have to watch it. And I assume there's going to be more pain because there's always pain. Layla, what do you want to see out of next week's episode?
Tommy Miller. I need Tommy Miller back. I need more Gabriel Luna. I say this every time he's brought up. He is the perfect Tommy. I know in like the trailers for next week's episode, we get a glimpse at Maria, who is Tommy's wife, and I'm just so excited to see the introduction of Joel and Tommy reuniting. oh, I need it in my life right now. I need it now. And just seeing like the whole vibe of where Tommy is right now, I feel like he's going to be such a contrast to the world that we've seen so far. And I'm just so excited for them to explore it. But yeah, I just need Gabriel Luna as Tommy back in my life now, please.
Agreed. Jaiden, what do you want to see out of next week's episode?
I'm honestly in the same boat with Layla with getting Tommy back finally, because I feel like we kind of forget that this is why this whole thing was happening in the first place. You know, there's so much going on and so many things have happened that you forget the main reason for this trip was to see Tommy, was to find Tommy and make sure that he's safe. So to finally have that resolution would be really nice. But then obviously there's, you know, the getting Bella or not Bella, Ellie to the Wyoming. So that's going to be a trip in itself. But yeah, at least some resolution here would be nice. All this pain for what?
Yeah, and like kind of the main reason they want to find Tommy is because Tommy used to be in the Fireflies, and they're trying to find the Fireflies so that they can get Ellie to this doctor so they can make a cure. So it kind of makes you think like, is this whole episode gonna be Tommy? Are we gonna see him like jetting off to wherever the Fireflies are if Tommy like has information on the Fireflies? Like, I'm just so intrigued to see what direction it's gonna go in and how much time we do spend with all the characters.
Also excited to see how the relationship between Tommy and Joel has changed since we first saw them in episode 1, because it's been like, what, 20 years? So it definitely has evolved, and I'm just excited to see how that is. Well, that pretty much wraps up our Last of Us episode 5 chat for today, unless you guys have anything else to say. Any final comments?
No.
Well, it's been...
Tune in for episode 6.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's been a tragic week in terms of The Last of Us. We had some fun other things elsewhere, some cool trailers. But this is it for the Fandom Academy episode 6. Make sure you're following Fandom Academy on all socials and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content. You can find all of our shows on the AOF Podcast Network, including the Agents of Fandom, Ticket to Reality, Listen to 2000, and us, all on Apple, Spotify, or anywhere you get your podcasts from. We have some awesome merch at aofandom.com. And we will be here next week again talking Last of Us Episode 6 and Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania. Jaiden, where can the people find you?
Yeah, so you can find me at jaiden.cmduran on pretty much all socials. We're probably, since, you know, a lot of us are going to be together for this week, so maybe we'll get some TikTok stuff up on the Agents of Fandom TikTok. That's just Agents of Fandom. So that's, you know, pretty self-explanatory. But yeah, definitely check that out. Stay tuned for our bonus episode that will be coming out pretty soon here. So that's going to be really cool. And yeah, so stay tuned.
And Laila, where can the fans find you?
You can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and Letterboxd at FalconsNet. You can find me anywhere at FalconsNet. Yeah, just make sure you're subscribed and you have our notifications on. I'm so excited. We are flying tomorrow to see each other. I'm sure we'll get so much content out while we're all together in person. And thank you for listening. And I'm so excited to talk about next week's episode with you guys.
Yes, thank everyone for listening. You can find me on Twitter at CJDar_, and this has been the Fandom Academy Podcast, Episode 6. Talk to you next week.
Peace.